And the first question says 2 times something gives us negative 16. So if you look at the factors of 16, we know that 2 times 8 gives us 16. But since it's negative 16, that means going to be negative 8. Similarly, something times negative 7 gives us 42. So if you look at the 7 times table, 7 times 6 gives us 42. So since the 7 is already negative and the answer is positive 42, which means it's going to be negative 6. Because a negative integer multiplied by a negative integer gives us a positive integer, whereas a positive multiplied by a negative integer gives us a negative integer. So that's your answer. Next question says the table shows the distance in miles by road between some towns. Which towns are the furthest apart? So between Foxtown and Sandcliffe, the distance is 52. Then between Foxtown and Red Island, the distance is 70, which is the biggest value so far. Between Sandcliffe and Red Island, the distance is 32. Between Foxtown and Donhampton, the distance is 31. Between Sandcliffe and Donhampton, the distance is 14. And between Red Island and Donhampton, the distance is 28. So if you look at the values, it's clear that the furthest apart are Foxtown and Red Island. And what is the distance? It's 70. Next question says solve x plus 5 equals to 7. So this is a clear example of solving equations with a variable on one side. So the goal is to find the value of x. So what we need to do is we need to isolate x on one side. And in order to isolate x, we need to get rid of the 5. And we can do that by subtracting 5 from both sides. So that gives us x equals to 7 minus 5, which is equal to 2. Now in the next question, we do have a variable just on one side, but now it's a multi-step equation. In the previous one, there was just one step where we just had to subtract 5 from both sides. But now we first have to add 1 on both sides to get rid of the negative 1, which gives us 2w equals to 13 plus 1. That is 14. And now to isolate w, we need to divide both sides by 2. So that gives us w equals to 7. So if you notice, what we're doing is that whatever is happening with the number, like initially, we're doing the opposite thing. Initially, 1 was being subtracted. So to get rid of the 1, we added 1 on both sides. Initially, 2 was being multiplied to w. So to get rid of the 2, we are dividing both sides by 2. So that's how you solve like linear equations where they're asking us to find the value of x. Next one says a red light flashes every 4 seconds. A blue light flashes every 9 seconds. They have both just flashed at the same time. How long until they both flash again at the same time? So this question is a very popular question when it comes to like LCM. They will always give you a similar scenario and they will ask you to find the same time at which both the objects are flashing or anything, whatever is happening in the question. So remember, we'll just need to find the LCM of both the numbers given, or like no matter how many, like if there are more than 2 numbers, you just have to find the LCM. So the lowest common multiple, which is the LCM of 4 and 9 is 36. So that is the time at which both the lights will flash again at the same time. The question says multiply out x times x plus 3. So whatever is outside the bracket, that gets multiplied with everything inside the bracket, which means we're multiplying x with x, and then we're multiplying x with 3. X times x is x squared, not 2x. This is a very common mistake students make when they're multiplying variables. They believe that they're adding them. So x times x they think is 2x. But no, when you're multiplying variables, your power changes. So x times x becomes x squared. But when you're doing x plus x, that is 2x. In addition and subtraction, your power doesn't change. But when you're multiplying and dividing variables, your power changes. Now, x times x is x squared and x times 3 is 3x. In the second one saying expand 3 brackets 2y minus 1. So same thing, you multiply 3 with both the terms inside the bracket. That's 3 times 2y plus 3 times negative 1. That is 6y minus 3. And that is your answer.